Well, if Pavel Silyagin is looking for rounds, this is certainly a man who can give those to you. He has not been stopped in 10 years. And if you look at the names who have stopped him over the years, Gennady Golovkin, Vladimir Shishkin, and Avtantil Hertsidze. Those are big punchers, serious names. And I should correct myself, Shishkin did stop him in 2018, but prior to that, it was 2010 Hertsidze. So once in 10 years, Khamitski has been stopped. And even deep into his 40s, he's been giving rounds to guys like Shishkin and John Ryder, who made a good case that he could have been world champion when he fought Callum Smith recently. Khamitski went the distance with Ryder in 2016. He went the distance with Dmitry Chudinov in 2018. So in his mid-40s, this is a guy who has been able to hang with world-level competition. So to that point, it is a very nice step up for someone like Silyagin, who we mentioned was an amateur standout, had 11 fights in the World Series of Boxing. And probably more valuable for him to go rounds against someone like Khamitski than it is for him to just blow out the standard fare that so many fighters do early in your career. More and more often we're seeing fighters come out of the amateurs and just get right down to business. So Silyagin certainly doing that and taking on someone like Khamitski here tonight. Good start to Silyagin's pro career. He's stopped an undefeated fighter in 2 consecutive fights. Final 10 seconds of round 1. A good one from Silyagin, who hasn't been afraid to let his hands go here in the early going. Round 1 of the books.
Секунданты, второй раунд.
Round 2 begins here between Pavel Silyagin and Siarhei Khamitski. Khamitski 19 years older than Silyagin, who is 27 years of age. And as is often the case in boxing, there's kind of a thread here in terms of the matchmaking between Silyagin and Khamitski. One of Silyagin's main amateur rivals in the Russian system is one of the stars of the Salita Promotions stable, Vladimir Shishkin. Silyagin has a couple amateur wins over him. We mentioned that Shishkin stopped Khamitski. So in all likelihood, that gives Silyagin and his team the confidence to take on Khamitski, see if they can replicate that. Because no doubt there's going to be comparisons between Silyagin and Shishkin, and Shishkin much more advanced as a pro than Silyagin is. Shishkin really in the, if not in the title picture, then really just on the banks of it at this point. Looking to work his way into perhaps an eliminator bout in 2021. We saw him get back in action inside the Kronk gym earlier this year. One of the many unusual but oddly pleasant events that have occurred in 2020 as a result of the global pandemic. Khamitski looks for that big right hand, keeping Silyagin honest. And Khamitski's going to be there all night. For as long as he's on his feet, he's going to be in front of you. Very adept at picking shots off enough to not take the full force of them, for the most part. To have a career like the one he's had, you have to be smart in there, in addition to just being a tough guy, and he is certainly both. There you see some of the work from Siarhei Khamitski. Little tricky combination there a moment ago, finishing his combination with the jab. And Silyagin might have thought he was done throwing. He came behind it with full force of a left hand.
Секунданты. Третий раунд.
We begin round 3. Scheduled for 10. Silyagin has been in scheduled 10 rounders twice thus far in his career, has not gone the distance. Never gone past 7. And in the 7th round is when he stopped Artis Lobson back in July. Overhand right there, grazes the shoulder of Silyagin along the ropes. Now it's Khamitski digging to the body. Kind of slapping right hand there from Silyagin, and he goes after Khamitski with another right hand to the body. Now an uppercut. Khamitski starting to pick up the pace here. And Silyagin is following suit. It's been an interesting pattern of matchmaking thus far in the young career of Silyagin. We mentioned the two undefeated fighters he fought prior to Khamitski here, Artis Lobson, who we just referenced, and Orkan Gadziev. You know, two fighters who were in the Russian amateur system as well, weren't as successful as Silyagin was as well, but gets matched with them early in his career, beats them, and then goes in the other direction, takes a guy who is vastly more experienced than him as a pro. And I think that's been a good start for Silyagin, getting a mixture of, a couple guys who still have ambitions. They were undefeated. They're coming in young and hungry. And then you have a guy like Khamitski who knows how to compose himself in the ring, who is certainly out here trying to win, but also knows how to take a young prospect rounds. And these are fights that are just part of the learning process for a fighter like Silyagin, who his handlers expect to be in the world title picture one day. These are the building blocks for young fighters. Silyagin now southpaw, digs to the body. It's Khamitski covering up along the ropes. Ooh, there's a good body shot, and Khamitski felt that one. An unexpected body shot drops Khamitski, who, as we mentioned, is an incredibly tough man to stop. A tough man to drop, but it is a body shot that forces him to take a knee. Wow. Just when you thought this fight was kind of falling into the pattern of the old veteran taking the young prospect rounds, Silyagin makes a statement there in the third. Let me see the right hand from Silyagin. Let's see if we can take a look at this body shot. Yeah, it was the right hand. When Silyagin turned southpaw, it paid dividends. He was able to get that right hand right along the belt line and drop Khamitski. And we'll see if the temperament of Silyagin will change here. It's been a while since we've seen Khamitski stop an up-and-coming fighter. That doesn't mean that he can't still be dangerous. Really, the last time we saw him do something like that was back in 2015 when he fought Adam Etches, who was 18-0 at the time. He fought him at the Sheffield Arena. And now Silyagin really picking up the pace. Not really concerned about what we've been talking about here. Ooh, there was another body shot. And Khamitski moving to the ropes after feeling that one. Silyagin had a lot of success as a southpaw. Both the most meaningful shots he scored in this fight have come in a left-handed stance. And it's good to see a little bit of that versatility, a little bit of fluidity, excuse me, from Silyagin. The criticism that some observers have had of Silyagin early in his career is that he can be a little bit too technical, but there again, switches southpaw, and it immediately leads to a knockdown. It was a cuffing right hand out of the southpaw stance from Silyagin, and perhaps the 46-year-old Siarhei Khamitski is starting to weather. So often you see Siarhei Khamitski on a bout sheet and you think, oh, well, That one's going the distance. Unanimous decision. So seeing Silyagin do this, 2 knockdowns inside 4 rounds, is definitely meaningful. Silyagin making a statement here so far. And that will do it. It appears that Khamitski is going to retire on the stool. And a very impressive stoppage win for Pavel Silyagin. We'll take a look back at the 4th round. There it was, the right hand right behind the ear. Good shot from Silyagin. And Siarhei Khamitski retires after the 4th round. Let's send it up to our ring announcer to make this one official.
Победу техническим нокаутом в 5-м раунде одержал и остался непобежденным Павел Силягин, Новосибирск, красный угол.
So a TKO win for Pavel Silyagin, who improves to 5-0, that being the 3rd stoppage of his pro career, and a very impressive result. I think it was assumed that Silyagin was being put in there with a guy who would give him rounds, maybe taking the distance for the 10-round distance, excuse me, for the first time in his career. But again, we talked about that through line. His old amateur rival, Vladimir Shishkin, he faced Siarhei Khamitski back in 2018. He stopped Khamitski. Now,